What really killed Jesus on the cross? Was it the nails driven into his hands and feet, the brutal whipping before he even reached the cross, or the spear at the very end? And if it wasn't just one thing, what actually caused his body to finally give up? To understand this deeply, we need to break everything down step by step in very simple terms. We have to look at what the human body goes through under extreme pain and stress. Crucifixion was not designed to kill quickly, but to stretch suffering over many hours. The Romans perfected it as a method of slow public death. Before Jesus even reached the cross, his body had already gone through something extremely violent called scourging. This was far beyond a normal whipping and caused deep physical damage. The whip used had multiple strands with sharp pieces of metal or bone. Each strike tore into the skin and sometimes exposed muscle underneath. The skin is not just a covering but protects the body and keeps fluids inside. When large areas are damaged, the body begins to lose blood and fluids rapidly. This leads to a dangerous condition called hypovolemic shock, which means severe blood loss. The body now struggles to keep organs alive. The heart tries to compensate by beating faster to push blood around, but with less blood available, it becomes harder to deliver oxygen. At this stage, the body becomes weak and dizzy as oxygen levels drop. The brain and muscles begin to suffer. Then dehydration begins to take over as fluids are lost. The blood becomes thicker and harder to pump. Now imagine carrying a heavy wooden beam in this condition. The body is already close to failure, and every step adds more strain. By the time Jesus reached the crucifixion site, his body was already in critical condition. The next stage would push it even further. The nails were driven through the wrists and feet to hold the body in place. This caused intense nerve pain, but was not the direct cause of death. There is a major nerve in the wrist that sends sharp pain signals when damaged. Each movement would trigger waves of intense pain. But the nails were mainly there to support the body's weight. The real danger came from how the body was positioned on the cross. When hanging on a cross, the body is pulled downward by gravity. This makes it very hard for the chest to expand for breathing. To take a proper breath, the person must push up against the nails. This causes extreme pain every time they try to breathe. Over time, the body becomes too weak to keep pushing up. Breathing becomes shallower and less effective. This leads to a condition called asphyxiation, which means suffocation. The body is no longer getting enough oxygen. This leads to a condition called asphyxiation, which means suffocation. The body is no longer getting enough oxygen. This condition is known as respiratory acidosis. It affects muscles, the brain, and the heart. The muscles become too weak to support breathing. The brain becomes confused and less responsive. The heart struggles to maintain a steady rhythm. Eventually, it cannot keep up with the body's needs. All of this is happening at the same time in the body. Blood loss, dehydration, pain, and suffocation are combining together. But there is another layer that makes this even more intense. The body also begins to experience metabolic acidosis, where acids build up from muscle breakdown. When muscles are overused without oxygen, they produce lactic acid. This makes the body feel heavy, painful, and weak. This means that every attempt to push up for breath becomes harder each time. The body is fighting itself at this point. Pain also plays a deeper role than we think. Extreme pain triggers stress hormones that push the body into overdrive. At first, adrenaline helps the body keep going, but over time, it drains energy and leads to collapse. The nervous system becomes overwhelmed with constant signals of pain. This affects breathing patterns and heart rhythm. Eventually, the body reaches a point where it can no longer continue. The person dies from a combination of these factors. After this, a Roman soldier pierced Jesus' side with a spear. This was done to confirm that he was already dead. The account mentions that blood and water flowed out. This detail is very important medically. The water likely came from fluid around the lungs or heart. The blood came from damaged tissues and vessels. This shows that the body had already gone through severe trauma. It confirms that death had already occurred, or was very close. When we look at the full picture, it becomes clear that no single injury caused death. It was a chain reaction of multiple failures. The whipping caused blood loss and shock. The cross caused suffocation and exhaustion. The body could not recover from both at once. Each stage made the next one worse. The nervous system was overwhelmed with pain signals. The muscles were too exhausted to function. The circulatory system failed due to blood loss. The respiratory system failed due to suffocation. When all systems fail together, the body cannot survive. This is what ultimately led to death. So the truth is, it was not just the nails, the whip, or the spear alone. It was everything working together against the body. And if you're finding this breakdown helpful, take a moment to support the channel. Like the video, subscribe, and share it so more people can understand these deep topics in simple ways. You can also support the work directly through M-Pesa, using account number JA254110969055 under the name Alexander Muiruri. Your support helps keep these deep explanations coming. Jesus died because his body was pushed beyond every limit at once. That is the full scientific reality behind the crucifixion.